Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're actually going to be working on the inside of the truck. I really wanted to share this with everyone because I ran into something on my truck a little while back. We had an ice storm that had everything froze up and my door latch broke on my truck and I couldn't get my rear doors open. So I've been able to use the front door, without any problem. Nothing happened with it, but the latch on the back door, it is messed up and you can't open the door. Now one end of it actually has two latches. One end of the door actually comes loose when you pull the handle, but the other end don't. So I assumed that a cable or something in there was broke, but what I found out actually was very interesting, and especially because I checked on having this replaced with the dealer, and the dealer priced replacing both door latches for $656. I had my truck in there for some other things going on, which actually I'm going to make another video about because I've had this truck now for 10 years and I'm going to do a 10-year review on this truck and kind of tell you all my thoughts and opinions and things that have broke down or not broke down and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that because that will be in an upcoming video. But for today, I'm going to show you what's going on with the door latches. It may not be as an expensive of a fix as what you think. So the dealer, like I was saying, priced replacing both door latches on both rear doors for $656. So I took this apart a few minutes ago and realized that it was not what I thought it was going on with it, and that the door latches actually was made different than what I thought. I'd done some research online, done some research on YouTube. The fixes that I had run across on YouTube were the door latch is not the same as what this one is. So I wanted to show this one because I have not been able to find this on YouTube. So I actually went ahead and put this door all back together. That way I could go through all the steps and show you how to take it apart and then show you what the problem actually is and how to fix that. So the first step is we got to remove some trim pieces to be able to get our door panel and stuff off. These actually, this piece here and this piece here are just popped on. You may, depending on your vehicle, you may have to get a tool or something and pry that loose. But on this one, they just pop loose. So it's not too big of a deal. This one's a little bit tricky, getting it around the seat belt, because you've got to turn that seat belt and then try to pull that out like so. And the reason we need to take these top trim pieces off is because there's actually a couple of screws. There's one over here and there's one over here that we have to take these screws loose to be able to get the door panel off. Now all these are a 6mm screw or a bolt or whatever you want to call it. All right, so our next thing we're going to take loose, there's actually over here on this end of the door where your handle's at, there's actually a couple little plastic covers right here that's got a couple more bolts in there, and you'll need a really small flat screwdriver to get these loose. So they've actually got a little spot that you can get that screwdriver into and pop these out. And then you've got two more of these 6mm screws. So our last one is actually going to be down on the bottom of the door. You go all the way down here underneath. There's one of these 6mm screws right there. So we're going to take it out. So our next thing, we've got to take our door handle loose, and it's got this little cover over it, and you can pop that cover out, and there's two 10mm bolts behind that cover. Now again, like I say, I've already had this door out. All these bolts and stuff are actually kind of already loose, but I put it back together just for demonstration purposes because I wanted to show, actually this is not a hard process to take this apart. So once you get that loose, that lets this come loose from your door handle. And what you've got to do to get this thing out is just lift up on the panel, and that whole panel then comes loose. And just kind of work it around your seat belt on the top, and that'll give you room. And then you can pop out your door handle. This handle can be a little bit finicky, but if you take your trim piece and kind of just separate it a little bit, then it'll pop right out of there. And that kind of just gets this stuff out of the way. Now, it still won't come loose because your wiring and stuff is still hooked up for like your electric windows and all that. You could take that loose if you needed to, but for what we're doing here, we're not going to need to. So if you look in here, this is your cables actually that run to your main door handle and your top door handle. And there's a ball socket in there, and that right there is what's loose. So evidently through the ice storm where I was pulling on the door handle trying to get this thing open, that actually just popped out of there. And I thought that it'd have to have some kind of a keeper or something on there, but it doesn't. And what you can do is actually take a pair of needle nose pliers and work this thing back down in there. In fact, if you pull the handle, then it kind of gives you room to move it below it. And then if you pull the cable, then it pulls it far enough to get into the hook. So whenever you pull the handle, it pulls the cable, but the cable actually won't come out unless you pull it and then work it behind it. So you have to pull it. And I don't know if ice froze in there or what, causing this to hang up or causing it to get fouled up and causing it to drop out of that holder. But as you can see, when I pull the handle, it pulls both those cables now. And whenever the door latches, you pull the handle, you can see it pop open. And that's the one that wasn't coming loose before. So as you can see, that works perfectly fine now. Now, if you wanted to, you could put something in there to secure that. Maybe, I don't know, a piece of tape or something to keep that from falling back out of there. But I really don't think that there's going to be too much of an issue of that falling back out. I think it's just one of those things where there was so much pressure on it that, you know, when I was trying to pull that door open and everything was frozen, that maybe where the cable, you know, maybe the locking mechanism itself was actually froze up, and it caused that cable to stay out, stuck in the long position. So whenever the handle closed back, that ball dropped out of it, and the cable just wasn't moving because it was froze. So now we got our cable back in place on our handle. It seems to be easier to me to go ahead and put this back in your door panel before you try to put it all in place. So I'm going to raise the door panel up, and we're going to put this back in. And it pretty much just snaps in there. And then you're just going to do the opposite of what we did. We're going to get our seat belt around it. And then there's tabs on the back side you want to get lined up with the holes. And you're going to raise it up a little bit higher than you need, because you have to drop it down into those holes. There it goes. When you get them all lined up, it'll actually just drop right into place. So we can put our door handle screws back in. And you'll know that it's lined back up because all your screw holes will line back up where they're supposed to be. We're just going to snug these up. You don't want to tighten them too tight because you'll bust plastic or possibly strip the threads out. Go ahead and put our trim piece back in here. Then we're going to go to our 6mm screws to start putting our rest of our door panel back on. And again, whenever I took these loose the first time, these were not tight at all. So it just takes a little bit of snugging. Again, you're on plastic tabs, so you don't want to torque these down because you'll bust that plastic. Just gonna put our little plastic tabs back in there to hide our screws. There they go. And don't forget to put the screw in at the very bottom of the door. All right, and our last steps, we're just gonna pop our trim pieces back on. So the easiest way I've found too on this, you have to kind of take your seat belt part and you can see it twist up, turn it long ways, and that'll slip right in there. And you just take your door panel, put it back in place. Line up your holes. And they just snap right back into place. Then take your other trim piece, same way, it's just got two tabs right here. Those just line up. And they pop back in. And as good as new, let's make sure the door works. So the door works just like it did whenever it was new. So guys, that's going to wrap it up. I hope this helps somebody out on this door. You know, like I say, I think it was one of those things where the ice had that cable fouled up and it was stuck in the open position, and it caused that to come loose out of the holder for that door handle. I was pleasantly surprised to find out that that's all the problem that was going on, was that cable had popped out of that holder, especially because I had my truck in the shop. They were telling me that the bill on it was going to be $4,000 plus $656 to fix that door latch. Now, they were going to change both latches completely out and put all complete new latches in there, but what a waste of money that would have been if I would have told them to go ahead and do that, because they would have repaired those latches and charged me that money, even knowing that it only needed to have that little cable put right back into that ball socket. Now, I've seen some other fixes for this. There must have been different years, or even maybe a 2010 versus 2011, that they changed this design, because there were some actually little keepers and stuff in there that were breaking on some different models. And I thought sure that that's what was wrong with this one. I ordered the parts to replace it. They only cost $10, but then I ended up not even needing those and fixed it for completely free. So if you've got a 2011 F-150, this may be something that you want to check out. It's super simple to take those door panels and stuff loose, get in there and actually see what was going on. And like I say, could be a simple fix. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to click that thumbs up button. Follow along with us, because like I say, there is going to be that 10-year review on this truck. I will go over some of the things, plus that $4,000 issue I just had with it. So stick around for all that, and thanks for watching.